a lot of a turn for the worse.
How long has it been now since your last fight?
A few years now. So
Was when your last fight you've been going? Was it straight into coaching, or was it kind of a grace?
no, I was coaching.
Oh, you were coaching prior.
Yeah, so I've coached for a good seven years now. So, and I was still fighting and stuff, but I wasn't coaching full time. So I was still being a trainer and stuff like that, but I wasn't coaching full time.
Because not all fighters become great coaches,
nope.
do they?
No. And you don't need, in my opinion, you don't need to be a fighter to be a great coach. You have to have the care. Coaching's a passion. And in a selfish sport, it doesn't always work, like, because they still care more about themselves than...
Yes. Okay, yeah, you're right. The coach will be more... Because he was a fighter, was selfish, and then...
But in the same thing, you don't need to be a fighter to be it, but that's a rarity, in my opinion. I think you need to know what it feels like.
Especially
you don't need to be a champion. You don't have to have like, oh, well, how many belts or what did you do? That doesn't bother me. Like, you look at some of the best coaches, they didn't make it anywhere. They just absolutely love the art. But I still feel like you need to know what it feels like. You don't. It's not essential, and there is a rarities that can prove it wrong, and there is some around that I personally know. But when you're telling someone to get up off the canvas, or when they're tired and they're tasting blood in their thing because they can't stand, they're losing focus, and you're telling them to do something,
and you haven't been there.
I respect it far more from someone that I know's been in that position and has bit down on their mouth guard, got up, and finished. So I think you don't. It helps if you've been there and done that, and then because they trust you. So it's not leading from position, it's leading from inspiration. So making sure, so it's like being a trainer because you're the trainer, or they're actually looking up to you because you've done the journey that they're on. So they do respect you a lot more, and they will actually listen more in that sort of first part until you prove your merits.
Exactly. Did you find it hard to kind of separate coach from fighter?
Yep.
What was the process you took? Was there
I didn't take any of the fighters. So at the first part, it was just general classes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And I trained in the fighters. You can't do both. It's very, very hard.
Yeah, okay. If you're still fighting and then coaching at the same time.
Yeah. So I trained privately with the other coach.
Yeah, okay.
So, and my brother and stuff. So we had the fight stuff, and then the general class is what we taught. So we had the fighters class, and we just trained. So that was 100% focus. And then...
Once you started doing that, the passion grew for coaching?
Yeah, I love coaching.
Yeah. Always? Or was it just...
Always.
Because obviously you were saying such an over-analyzer and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Kind of able to teach the kids or teach the general public better that way.
Yeah. So understanding, and when you start coaching, you actually start learning more again. So you have to start breaking, because you think you're good at something until you have to teach it. And you're like, how do I even explain this?
Yeah, that's true.
And it's like, and then you start finding like analogies and stuff like that are like penny drop moments and cues that go, oh, I understand this now.
Because I guess a lot of the fighting as well, it's a lot of intuitive based. Like you got to be able to understand movements that you make in your own head, like how you move, and then you're gonna have to try to voice that out to someone else who's not always on the same wavelength as you are. So you're gonna have to try a lot of different cues, and whether sometimes one cue might work for one person but doesn't work for another person.
That's exactly it. So there's a lot of different ways to get the same thing out. And stripping it, just making it simple was something I've learned along the way in coaching, that all the cool stuff, it's cool. It looks amazing and takes time. But the simple stuff wins fights. And the simple stuff is actually the hardest to teach, like basic footwork or basic movement, or understanding that just because like that one technique might not work for different shapes and sizes. So someone that's short and stocky will be able to do things better in close range than someone that's tall and lanky. But then you're trying to teach, I mean, you still got to learn them, but you're trying to teach that big long range stuff to a shorter guy, they're never going to do well. But then the taller guy's going to do well. So it's like understanding that how I would throw a hook versus how a short person would throw a hook is different, and there's no one way anymore. It's not, oh no, that's how it's taught. That's not a thing anymore. There's basic body mechanics. If you are in balance, or if you're structurally sound, if you've got your center of gravity and your joints and everything's tight, and in the right sort of angles, it will work. If it's not, you'll break something.
Well, how many times have it? Recently, I've seen so many fights where a guy gets knocked out because he's simply just overreaching on a strike, and his head's up in the air, where he's overextended, and then it's easy for someone just to clip over the top and see you later. So that's what refining technique is.
Yeah, that's the
simple
difference
things
between good and great is the work they put in behind the scenes. So yes, there's talent, but it's determination and doing the little things a lot. You know, like rather than just doing, the coach said I need to do 100, do it until you get it. Do it until you get it and get better at 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 it. So now it's autonomous. I don't actually have to think about it. So like having to like look where you punch versus having to just punch, it's when you get that, you've got the technique.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. So when did you take on board strength